From being an NFL referee to ordering edible panties as a last meal, and everything in between, including various main character deaths, Family Guy is no stranger to the classic cutaway gag. The cutaway is a shot that interrupts the main action of a film or TV program to show a related subject or depict something going on at the same time, according to Merriam-Webster. Once the secondary perspective is done, the shot cuts back to the main action. We see it in everything. It's a very effective and normalized method of filmmaking. Now, Family Guy takes it a step further, where a character states something along the lines of, this reminds me of the time, insert wild topic here. And then the shot cuts to whatever was described, and the whole secondary shot is portrayed in a comedic way before cutting back to the show. Now, characters regularly break the fourth wall, so you could chop the gags up to the characters being aware of the show and setting up the comedic moments. But I think something much darker is going on here. So join me today as we cover the hidden truth about the Family Guy cutaway gags. You will not be able to view them the same way ever again. I know I can't. I've watched so much of this show for this theory. Much more than I'm willing to admit. So I think the cutaway gags are, in reality, a result of schizophrenia-induced delusions brought upon the people of Quahog due to radiation poisoning. Now hear me out. Studies from PubMed to Oxford Academic to APA PsychNet show that radiation exposure can cause schizophrenia. The studies show that people around Chernobyl, Nagasaki, people going through radiotherapy, and people around naturally occurring radioactivity all have higher chances of developing schizophrenia. And if you don't know, a common symptom of schizophrenia is experiencing hallucinations and delusions. Delusions such as believing some wild event to be true, exactly like we see in the cutaway gags. Now I know what you're thinking. A, where's the proof? And 2, why do many characters in the show set up the gags? It's not an isolated incident where Peter only does it, for example. Everyone in the Griffin household does it. The neighbors do it. Random side characters do it. Even Death himself does it. So what's the connection? Well, if watching the show has told me anything, it's that the residents of Quahog are obsessed with their alcohol. Just about every character drinks. Even Stewie, the baby, has been drunk. And it makes sense for the show. It's targeted towards teens, young adults, and older adults alike. Alcohol and dark humor is normal for a show like this. And I think the alcohol isn't just for dark humor and drunken antics. I think the alcohol is the linchpin to this entire theory. Specifically, Peter's beer of choice, Pawtucket Patriot Ale. Pawtucket Patriot Ale is clearly popular, but the company is actually filled with a bunch of thieves. You see, in the season 13 crossover episode, The Simpsons Guy, it is revealed that Pawtucket Patriot Ale is actually just Duff beer with a new label slapped on. Pawtucket Patriot literally is Duff beer, which brings us one step closer to solving this mess. If you're a fan of The Simpsons, you know that Duff beer is brewed right in the city limits of Springfield. There's also a brewery in Capital City, but in the crossover episode, the Griffins get chased out of Quahog, everyone falls asleep in the car, including Peter, the driver, as the car was still driving, cartoon logic, and Lois mentions they've been driving all night. There's no clock seen when they leave, but given the sky pigmentation before they leave and when they're in the car, as well as the driving all night comment, I think we can safely assume the distance between Quahog and Springfield is at least 24 hours by car. And since Capital City is canonically the center of the regional political universe in The Simpsons, it's safe to assume that the Springfield Duff Brewery is the closest location to Quahog and thus would be the location the beer gets shipped from. But what makes the beer radioactive? Well, beer is made using 4 main ingredients: grains, hops, yeast, and water. And according to New Trail Brewing, water accounts for 90 to 95% of the beer's content. It's the primary ingredient. Now the brewery appears to be on the ocean, but we see rivers connecting the ocean to Lake Springfield, and water tends to flow from lakes and into oceans. And what do you know? Lake Springfield just so happens to be one of the most polluted places in the city. We see in the Simpsons movie that Lake Springfield is the go-to dumping ground for dead bodies, pig excrements, greasy food waste, cat dander, beer bottles, Green Day, and would you look at that, waste from the nuclear power plant. So here's what I think happened. Mr. Burns dumps waste from the plant into Lake Springfield as a quick, free disposal method. Plus, the rich are above the law, and if anyone opposes him, he can use the electricity the plant provides as leverage and release the hounds. Excellent. The waste absolutely has a level of radioactivity to it, considering Burns frequently cuts corners with operation of the plant. I mean, just look at Homer. I wouldn't be surprised if the only reason he has his job, preventing nuclear meltdown, is because it's a job any idiot can manage, since it apparently doesn't happen often in the show, and Burns can pay him far less than he deserves, because Homer is just too dumb to know his worth at his job and wouldn't even think to sue. So, radioactive waste pollutes Lake Springfield, which then flows into the ocean. Pollutants in water can spread easily. I actually have first-hand knowledge on this, funny enough. As y'all know, I'm from Ohio, and about a decade back, Lake Erie here had an algae bloom. Even though it was detected quickly, we still had to only use bottled water or boil water before consumption until the state got it under control, because once it started spreading, it spread quick. So the Duff plant would logically take in water from the ocean without even knowing it's polluted. According to Save the Water, radioactive contaminants can and will easily pass through filtration systems, so they probably don't even know the water is polluted to begin with. The Duff Brewery then makes radioactive beer and ships it out to their delivery locations, including Quahog. The bottles are probably left in a warehouse to avoid suspicion, and from there, they're taken to the Pawtucket Brewery, where they get a fresh label slapped on and are distributed to the people. Low levels of radiation poisoning aren't going to be easily detected, but over time, symptoms of schizophrenia will start popping up, including delusions and false memories. And the fact that main and side characters alike in Quahog make the cutaway gag jokes, it seems everyone is just too far gone to realize the truth. And there you have it. The Cutaway Gags in Family Guy are schizophrenic delusions brought upon by radiation poisoning from the beer. Now I only have 2 unanswered questions left. Nope. I've already talked enough, and this can be 2 more theories down the line. Alright, I'm feeling generous. Here's 2 bonus mini-theories real quick. If Pawtucket Brewery wasn't sold until Season 3, then why do the cutaways happen before then, assuming the thievery began after the sale? The original owner of Pawtucket Brewery, Pawtucket Pat, is a weird character. This Willy Wonka wannabe probably was unaware of any thievery going on, and if he did know, he probably sold and dipped before any potential lawsuits, just like Wonka himself, dumping the OSHA violation-filled factory on the shoulders of an 11-year-old. Frankly though, I wouldn't put it past him to just be oblivious. Maybe his copyright-neutral Oompa Loompas are the real masterminds behind the theft. I mean, why work their presumably underpaid butts off making mid-tier alcohol when they can just steal from the direct competition? It's brilliant. And if the Simpsons characters also drink the radioactive beer as well, why doesn't anyone in that show do cutaway gags? In the crossover, Homer doesn't even know what Peter's talking about when Peter sets him up for a cutaway gag. So the people of Springfield probably suffer different symptoms of radiation poisoning due to living in close proximity to a poorly managed nuclear power plant. And no, that's not why they're yellow. We see plenty of characters outside of Springfield who are also yellow. So they're just dealing with different levels of radiation poisoning. Exposure to radiation can increase the risk of developing cancer though, so maybe that's why Homer's bald. But I'm pretty sure that was addressed in the show at one point. So yeah, probably different symptoms from being near the plant. That, or it's just a cartoon and I'm thinking too much into this. But leave your thoughts and theories in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe.